evacuation commence. But the mayor of Miami-Dade has held off. Now, that fascinates me. He was waiting until the 11 a.m. update. The 11 a.m. update has Miami and West Palm Beach essentially direct hits. But he's held off here. The story is from noon, so it's after the 11 a.m. Hurricane Center update. And he said the storm's slowing down, giving us a little bit more time, because it's not due to hit till Saturday night, Sunday morning. So there would still be time to evacuate. But I think there are other reasons. When you start evacuating people, you better be an area that large, South Florida, that many people. When you start evacuating, you better be damn certain, because there aren't that many ways out. You got I-95, you got they call it Florida's Turnpike. The new one out here at 5 o'clock. I'll tell you what everybody's doing. Folks, I'll tell you what everybody's doing. You're following this stuff yourself. You're doing it too. You're looking at websites that show you the model runs. Some of them call them spaghetti models or whatever. But there's so many of them. You have to know which ones the Hurricane Center finds credible. Not all of them are. I mean, there are models out there that have this thing doing loops and circles. Some take it into the Gulf of Mexico, but some, just odd. Some take it down to Cuba. I mean, you got to know what to weed out. After 20 years of study, I have deduced fairly good. It's not automatic. Changes every season. But I have learned to figure out how the Hurricane Center values which models they follow from storm to storm. Now, one of the models, for example, the GFS Ensemble. Some storms it's right on the money. Other storms it's not even close. The UK Met model, which is the UK Meteorological Office, they've given it a lot of weight. It's Hurricane Harvey, the Euro models, the ensembles have been given a lot of weight. So you just have to know which ones to look at. And a bunch of them are clustered anywhere from 30 to 75 miles east of the Florida East Coast. They're out in the Atlantic. And they've been there almost from the beginning. Some of them moved west and clipped the state. Some of them ran up the middle of the state. But for the most part, the cluster of credible models has been either close to the East Coast or offshore by a significant amount, and they're offshore now. Is the furthest west of all of the models, other than a few outliers. The hurricane track always lags behind where the models are because the people at the Hurricane Center have to analyze all that data, figure out whether they agree with it or not. And they have to weed through what they think is good model data and what isn't. They're always lagging on purpose. So I guarantee you there's some people waiting for the 5 o'clock Hurricane Center map to see if they move the track further east. They won't leave the state of Florida, and they can't afford to. Now, look, any of this, I could be dead wrong about this, but right now that track is right up through Miami, West Palm Beach. That has consequences, either paper to whatever. I mean, that track, Dimmy, West Palm Beach, has consequences. They can't just move that, 80 miles, 100 miles off coast. They could, they really think, but they have to leave it pretty close to where it is, just in case it's right. Nobody knows if it's right now. It's two major population centers right in the bullseye. They have to leave it there for a while because of the consequence. Then you're going to have people say, wait a minute, what's going on? And they're going to start questioning it. And the Hurricane Center can't afford for people to not believe what their best forecast is. They can't afford that. So that track is going to be with us for a while. So people are keeping, I don't know if the mayor of Miami is doing this, but you can't, if you're studying this, you can't miss those models out there. And if you're in Florida, you want those models to be right. Now, those models out there, where they take it to South Carolina, northeast Georgia, and southwest South Carolina. But that's going to change, too. Now, the people, and the track that it's currently on does the same thing. And the models have it, once it turns, wherever it is, it's going to go due north. Most of these models, the credible ones, say this. Twitter has already asked people to do it. Because it's still a long way out, 4 to 5 days, and still anything can happen. You know, warm in the Gulf. And yeah, there was some news about it. And then seemingly overnight, the thing ramped up and became a Cat 4. And remember when it first became big news, what was the city it was going to cream? Corpus Christi. Look, that the outer bands could cause flooding in Houston, but it wasn't a major Houston was not in the original major discussion point here in the warning area, but Corpus Christi was in the bullseye. And then look what happens. To a certain point and then stopped. It was stationary, dumping all of that rain. The original track never had Houston in it. So that's why this stuff is incredibly difficult to forecast. How much rain it's going to dump, that all depends on the forward-moving speed. And relatively less damage. Corpus Christi is where the media others had to fly into to get to Houston or to get close to it. I mean, while Houston was flooded and the rain was coming down, the sun was shining in Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi was where it was forecast to, and it did fairly close to that. Here's be useful to go ahead and let them stay in exchange legislatively for other important immigration news, including the wall and so forth, and replayed that yesterday.